other thing is you need to be, and I don't know if you'll have to beep this out, but you have to learn to be unfuckwithable. And I had to practice saying that word because
I love that.
I had to practice saying it over and over because you have to learn that you're not concerned about what other people think. Yeah. When I was decided to quit my job in real estate to publish books, I was met with, well, you can't do that. That's your job. And it's like, yes, I can. And then you just go do it. Or if you, any big thing you go that you want to step out, like publish a book, you can't do that. Well, yes, I can. Yeah. And you have to, channel beings from another dimension. Well, as a matter of fact, I have. And you just have to go with it and go, I'm not going to worry about what people say about me.
Hello, and welcome back to the Feel Podcast. Happy New Year. It is 2026, folks. I don't know how we got here already. My head is spinning, but we are here. And we're going to start off the new year with one of my favorite people I met in 2025. I met her through my friends at the Fresno County Women's Chamber of Commerce. And she is one of the most connecting, honest, generous people I've met in this time. She immediately sat down with coffee, shared her resources, shared who she thought I should connect with, invited me to speak at one of her retreats, which I had the honor of doing in the fall. And it's just has such a connecting story, but also has a lot of courage because she learned something about herself not very many years ago and was willing to say yes to it and connect to it and invite it in. And we'll get into that in the conversation and how she arrived at this point. She's written books. She has retreats. She really helps women connect with their selves and their spirituality and what's already in them already. She just helps them tap into it, which is how our missions are so aligned. We have our own ways of going about it, but we're very in sync there. And I'm just so thankful to know her and to get to feature her today. Janie Jurkovich, let me get that name right. Janie Jurkovich describes herself as honest, practical, funny, determined, and she perseveres. Janie, welcome to the Feel Podcast.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you. Before we get into the talking points, you sent out a newsletter just a couple of days ago. It landed when we're recording this. It landed in my inbox and it just hits so succinctly. So many of you listeners are going to connect with this. And it's the story behind your books. And it's titled, "The Story Behind These Books Still Surprises Me." And you say, I was doing what so many of us do, taking care of everyone else, holding it together, going through the motions. On the surface, I was a successful businesswoman, a mother, a wife, but underneath it all, I felt numb. I didn't have a breakdown in the dramatic, cinematic sense. It was slower than that, a quiet unraveling that led me to question everything I thought I knew. And then something shifted. I began receiving messages, not in a way I expected, and not anything I was seeking out. The voices weren't loud or scary. They were clear, calm, loving. I couldn't ignore them. I didn't want to. Those messages became the words in this book trilogy. And over time, those words started to feel less like mine and more like something for anyone walking through the fog of a life that no longer fits. Mic drop. That's me putting that in. It doesn't say that in the newsletter. That, my gosh, that just hit. I'm like, I have to share that in the episode. And it's a great segue into talk to me about your self-care journey. Because, and I like how you talked about it wasn't this big moment. Like I had kind of a big moment that forced me to pay attention. But I think more often than not, it's that slow unraveling. And there's clues there, but we live so disassociated that we just ignore them. We push them away. We keep trudging forward until we get kind of like wake up one day and we're like, wait a minute, how did I get here? This doesn't feel right. I am out of alignment. And you start trying to put your finger on things. So talk to me about this evolution for you and what you've learned in your self-care journey via this message.
Okay. Well, I would say it happened due to circumstances in my family life. My husband left unexpectedly after a long marriage. So I was left to evaluate my life, and I didn't really like where it was because I had done all the things that society said, like work hard, take care of your family, put everybody else first. And all it got me was more work. And I finally said, well, I get a chance to do a do-over and I want to fix this. I want to fix my life. Mm-hmm. And so I started basically meditating before I knew what it was, because I was a workaholic. So I never even sat still. In fact, I used to tell my kids, I'll rest when I'm dead. I didn't realize how dangerous it is to be sleep deprived. And once I started, focusing more on figuring out life and being quiet, like I said, meditating before I knew what it was, then I started hearing voices that gave me guidance. Mm-hmm. And it was comforting because it was new to me, the information I was getting, and I knew that what I had been doing didn't work. Yeah. So it was worth a try. And it led me path of figuring out how to live my best life and writing books and tapping in spiritually and having that whole journey. And I can say that life is much better now. I'm a lot more focused, and I realize that, how I'm supposed to be living life. And it's not as a constant maid to everybody else or an indentured servant, like I sometimes felt.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
I'm not saying neglect your marital responsibilities or your family responsibilities, but there's nothing wrong with putting you in the equation. And that's, I think, was something that was lacking in what was taught to women growing up in the 50s, like me. We were taught like our opinions, what we want doesn't matter. And so that's a really big shift. And I'm happy that younger women are starting to learn that lesson earlier, whereas I didn't learn until my 60s, that there was another way and that I could say no and I could live life on my terms. So it's been a great
absolutely. Well, and I love how you talk about you got to there in your 60s, and I think it's just a reminder. It's not too late. There's no timeline, and when we get in alignment with ourselves and really start living as our healthiest, most authentic place, and so don't let that be a deterrent. Stay curious. Stay open to what's possible. You've learned the value. Yeah, I think you're such a great example of that. You have learned the value of setting healthy boundaries, of saying no, of having a clear idea of what it is you will and won't connect with. Talk to me about that part of the journey.
Well, I didn't even know there was such a thing as setting boundaries. I probably heard about it on a podcast or something. And I'm like, oh, that's what's wrong. I'm letting people walk all over me. So I realized that it was okay to say no, and that is a complete sentence, and you don't have to give everybody an explanation because it's none of their business. And just, you don't have to be mean or hurtful. You can just say, no, I'm not interested in doing that. I don't have time, or just say, no, I can't. You can make an excuse if you want. But it's more than, you have to value yourself and your own time and your own sanity. Sure, you might be able to actually fit in whatever task somebody's asking you to do, but do you really want to? Does it feed your soul? Is your time better spent doing something else? Maybe you just need to rest and not be go, 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 because then you will be nicer and not crabby to people. Or I mean, I really wish I would have known that when my kids were little, because, everything was so frantic. And, I'm sure I was short tempered. The other thing about setting boundaries is not just saying no to obligations that other people try to put on you, but also setting boundaries for how you will allow people to treat you.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand before that, people treat you the way you let them. And if you don't stand up for yourself, nobody else is going to do it, and they'll just keep taking advantage of you. And it might be a friend that's only calls you when they need something, or a child that only calls you when they want money, or something like that. And you have to learn that it's okay to say no, and it's okay to limit your contact with them. And it could be like if you have a friend that's been a really good friend for a long time, but you finally, the light bulb went off and you notice that they are always negative, and blaming other people. And after a while, you realize that when you're around them, it makes you in a bad mood, and you don't like that because you're trying not to be like that.
Yeah.
And if you try to gently persuade them to turn the conversation to whatever could be positive in this terrible, horrible situation, and they don't get the hint, after a while, you can just limit your contact with them. And then you basically setting a boundary. I don't want to be around somebody like that, and go find some new friends. And if they really bug you and say, why can't you do it? Why can't you see me? Blah, blah, blah. You might have to sit down and tell them whatever the reason is. You're too negative. I've tried to give some input. You're not listening. I don't like being around that. Or if it's somebody that you feel is always taking advantage of you, you just have to be honest and tell them, and let the pieces fall where they may, because it's not your job to please everybody, and contrary to the way we were raised. So it's good to set boundaries in all areas of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. So much good there. Thank you so much for that. I think it's one of those things that once we realize the power of a no, and that we don't have to over explain for days after that, and we can release that thing that we all learned about, abandoning ourselves to please everybody else. We don't have to do that. It's not necessary. Right. We get to take care of us too. Yeah. I love that so much.
We can learn that. Like if you set your goal that you're going to, live with these boundaries, and, you might fall off and let somebody in, but if you keep practicing it, you'll maintain it. And the people that, if it's boundaries between other people, they will eventually get it, that you're not going to acquiesce to their demands.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Talk to me about the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health connection and the work you've done and what you've learned about that.
Well, I've learned that my job is me, and and I'm supposed to focus on myself, and that isn't in a selfish way. That means that in order to be my best self, my truest self, or like you say, my most authentic self, I have to take care of myself. I have to get enough sleep. I have to get enough movement. I need to eat right. I need to have quiet time. I need to have friends. I need to be in nature. I need to be out in the sun. I like being around animals. I need to have an avenue for growth, whether it's listening to books, reading books, or listening to podcasts. Sometimes I need to just, relax and not do anything. That one I'm still working on, because it's hard. But I've learned that you have to take care of yourself before you can be the best version of yourself to help other people, because you're calmer, you're more connected to all of the beings and animals and nature and all that. And you realize how connected we are, and how you act, how it affects others. So I think that's the main thing I learned about is I've got to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And then I need to do what's important to me. Like for me, it's my mission of writing the books and spreading the word about that. And also don't forget there's it's not just taking care of my physical and mental needs. It's also the camaraderie or friendships. So I don't want to spend my time being with someone I don't really want to be with. But if it's someone that I know I really want to touch base with them and see how their life is going, or maybe I need to spend some time with my partner, even just watching a movie or going for a walk. It doesn't have to be a big trip or anything. Then I make time for those things, because I'm starting to realize those are the moments that are important. Life isn't all about getting your to-do list checked.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a thing about a joke I remember hearing about when people die, like, is anybody going to remember that your inbox in the days where we used to have I guess we have inboxes now, but it's email. But we used to have on our desk an actual box with papers and things to do. But the joke used to be, well, when you die, is anybody going to care that your inbox was empty? I mean, your kids and your parents and stuff, they're not going to remember that. They're going to think about, did you make time to go to the beach with them? Did you sit down and play a game with them? Did you, make your dad a birthday cake? Or, they're going to remember those moments. Yeah. So you have to just let it go and do what you can. One thing I've learned on my spiritual journey is that God, or whoever our higher power is, does not expect us to be perfect. And that was a huge thing for me, because I was raised to be perfect. And when I strove to be a perfectionist, then of course, then I got slammed for, well, you tried too hard to be a perfectionist. And it's like, where do you think I got that? Right. But it was such a heavy burden off of me to know that God only requires that you try your best. That doesn't mean slough off. It means really try your best. But if it doesn't come out, then it doesn't come out perfect. That's okay. Yeah. And also that it's not other people's job to judge me. So when you get that off your shoulder and all it's required is your best efforts, it's like life is free. It's like, whoa, I can Twitter around and go do whatever I want now, because I don't have to worry about this person saying something or this person. And it might be a little hard, and people might not understand where you don't worry about other people judging you, but I truly don't. Yeah. I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I just, other people are entitled to their opinions, as am I. And it's not my job to make them like me. Yeah. Yes. It's not my job. My job is to be me. If you don't like me, and I don't hold any hard feelings, if somebody says, they don't want anything to do with it. I'll give an example. So some of my books, the spiritual ones that involve channeling and how we're supposed to live and that sort of thing, I have had super religious people be quite confrontational and tell me I'm going to go to hell and then I'm a terrible person. And I'm just, well, I'm sorry, this is what I think, but I bless them and I just stay out of their realm because I don't want to upset them. And it's up to them if they want to listen to the lessons or not. I'm not here to force anything down somebody's throat, and vice versa. I'm not going to let them shame me into hiding in a corner. I spend most of my life in the closet. Either when I was growing up, it's more like children should be seen, not heard, and they don't want to hear anything from you. And then when I evolved as a spirit medium, I had to eventually come out of the spiritual closet. So you really, once you can get over that about worrying about what other people think, your life has so much freedom. And then if you have a spiritual or a religious background, knowing that your creator is not expecting perfection, it really can be life-changing. Yeah.
That freedom piece, man, that releasing that is such a heavy, we don't realize how heavy of a burden that is until we release it. And we literally physically feel lighter.
Yes.
Literally physically feel lighter. This goes so nicely into showing up for yourself unapologetically and supporting other women in doing so as well. You are doing that, and you are there as a resource for others who are ready to tap into it. And I love the way you stated that earlier. It's like, I might not be for everyone. That's okay. I'm here for those who are ready and willing and want to hear my experience and what's possible. And I think it's so interesting when you have people, whatever it is you believe that somebody is in conflict with. And I'm like, why don't we tap into curiosity rather than judgment? Why is that firing you up so much? Why are you, getting curious about that? But the openness, and at some point, as you embarked on this, you made a decision. I'm going to write these books. I'm going to start hosting these retreats. This to me is how you really show up unapologetically. And that is you to a core. Like I've engaged with you in person. You project that, you have that spirit about you. When did you decide it was time to write the books and start the retreats and open this up to other people?
Well, I would say before I actually published my first books, I was given information to put in one of them. And then I was told in my quiet time, the voices, they told me to write the book. Okay. And I did it. And then they told me to write another book, and I did it. And they told me to write another book, and I did it. And then I wasn't getting them published because I was still working as a real estate broker. So finally I was worried about money. Like if I quit my job, then how am I going to pay for everything? Right. Because I don't want to downsize. I really like my oasis, my home in the country. Yeah. So I just let it go to God. I said, God, look, if you want me to write these books, I'll write the books, but you figure out the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I can't, and it just happened that way. So I was actually told to write my first books, the ones in the Janie J series. And I am I plan to have the fourth and last book in the series come out next spring. Single Woman's Guide to Happiness. Okay. So fingers crossed that I get my stuff together. I wrote that book a long time ago. I just didn't get it published. Yeah. But my more recent books are spiritual in nature. And I either wrote about my experience learning that I could channel beings from another dimension, or it's the actual discourses that I transcribed. So I know I'm not for everybody. And I just hope that I set an example so that people know there is more to life. The first part, the Janie J part, is taking control of your own life and not living what society tells you. And there's a lot of encouragement and tips on the janiej.net site. But the others, the spiritual books are deeper. So this is the way I look at it. Once you get your life figured out and you realize that you're not a slave to everybody else and you can make your own decisions, then you start digging deeper. Like, why am I here? What's the purpose of life? How should I be interacting with other people? And deeper lessons. And those are the lessons that I channeled in the new I Am document. And I want people to join it, the new I Am movement, so they can encapsulate and learn these lessons and act that way. Because if people did, they're simple lessons, like someone in fifth grade can understand it. They're simple lessons that are reminders of how we should be treating each other and how we should be interacting with the environment and animals and stuff. And if everybody starts doing that, it will totally change the face of the world. Because it'll be a different paradigm. And people can get encouragement and find out about that at the new IamMovement.com. Okay. So I'm hoping that I'm setting an example to show how people can change and how they can grow. Yeah. And it's not anything I would have thought of. Like, I thought this kind of stuff was kind of woo-woo, and actually I can say honestly that I would be skeptical unless it happened to me. Yeah. Yeah. And I think people need to know it's okay to be skeptical, and it's okay. You can do it too, because it's not like I'm some big whiz or something. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. more and more people are realizing that they can connect to God or whatever they call it, and or beings, angels. Some people have angels or fairies or all sorts of things that I never would have thought of, and they're afraid to tell anybody. So I'm hoping that if I go forward and kind of take the brunt of it, and that will take the sting or the embarrassment away, and at least people will start using, because it's really helpful in life to have it's like having a secret advisor or a Google that you can ask anything.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's just that openness to being like, there are different ways. God created us all with different ways to connect with ourselves and with each other. And so if this is a point of access for you, being open to it and being willing, and if it's not a point of access for it to you, be happy and supportive of the people that it is. We all need to find our way to connect, find our purpose, find our why, and what allows us to live as our healthiest, most authentic versions that we were created to be. And so being open, and that there's multiple ways to do that. And you're providing an avenue and a safe space to have these discussions, and for other, people that are experiencing this to be like, wait a minute, that sounds like what I'm experiencing too, because it's all about creating those safe spaces for all these opportunities. You've created an absolute oasis in your home. I mean, it's just simply settling to walk onto your property. It really is. When did you decide the retreats were going to be a part of this, as well as,
Well, I started having events at my home, and I made it a goal for the last 2 years to have one every month. And we would talk about different things. Like past lives, or doing what I call soul connections, where you talk to somebody who's passed, or maybe we talk to money. That's something people are always interested in.
Yeah.
And that seemed well received, but I can only have a small group because we have it inside.
Yeah.
But people kept asking for more. And then I had a friend that just kept pushing me. So I actually, before I had my own retreats at my house, I had a friend that she would use my home to have her retreats.
Oh, gotcha.
So I got a few dry runs, but anyway, I finally realized that you can reach more people. And so that's kind of the goal, and let people know about it. And I do feel like I've been blessed with my home to, first of all, be able to keep it through a divorce, and be able to, maintain it and keep it peaceful and all that. And I feel like it's a gift from God that I need to share with other people, because it's created for more than just one or two people to enjoy. So I take a lot of pleasure in having people come over, especially to be outside. Yeah. And I've had people come and say that the trees are talking to them and stuff. And I'm like, okay. But I even had a photo shoot outside one time, and the photographer kept telling me to move a certain way, like just move over an inch. And I was like, wonder why. And she finally said, I want you to come over here and look at the picture I just took. And there was I think she had me put my hand up, and there was a fairy on my hand.
Oh, wow. And
I'm like, I know she didn't like Photoshop this or anything.
Yeah.
And so she said, they're all over your yard. That's what she was taking all these pictures of, and they showed up in there. And I'd never heard of that. But so there's something about this space that is helpful and enlightening to other people as well, because they seem to feel a sense of calm right away.
Yeah, it has a very calming effect on your nervous system. It really does. It's very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Your why and your values are very connected to this work you do. Talk to me about the evolution of separating what your why and values were versus all these other expectations you had historically been living out of.
Well, I figured out the other way didn't work, and it certainly wasn't making me happy. Yeah. I wasn't getting to travel. I wasn't getting basically to have any fun. And it's like, I didn't want to keep working 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Plus taking care of everything at the house.
Yeah.
So I just said, there's got to be another way. So once I found the other way, it soothed my soul a lot better. And then I realized, I found out what my mission was, which I thought it was to write my first books, but apparently it's to write the new I Am document series.
Yeah.
And then to teach it to people or make it available to them.
Yeah.
So I try to, first of all, take care of me, whatever my needs are, and then take care of my mission, not working like nonstop, not like a workaholic, but trying to work on it and be mindful of what things are working and which things I've tried are actually reaching people and changing their lives. And then I try to, all this is so you can live your best life. So I want to have some time left in my day to do that.
Yeah.
And be unapologetic about it. Like, I'm not going to write anymore on my book today or answer any more emails. I'm going to go outside and take a walk, and I'm going to go pet the sheep or something that makes me feel good and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Feel like, be more in tune with my body about what my body needs. That's something I think people really overlook. Like a lot of what I finally figured out is I would be sick and I kept getting sick, but I wasn't listening to my body. So if my body is like, if I'm staying up late doing work, especially previously, I would start getting a sore throat. And then I'd say, just another hour of emails. I'll just get another work done. And the next day I'd wake up and I'd have a cold. And now I know if I start feeling sick, then I need to go take some preventative medicine and get some rest. And if I feel super tired, I better get some rest, because if you don't, then your body's going to revolt. And I've actually connected to my body, which I never had thought of, but a health coach told me that. Connect to my body and ask what it wanted. And it would be screaming at me saying, I want more rest. You're working me too hard. And I was like, whoa, it was like somebody talking back to me. Yeah. But really, we all can do that. And if we're not at the stage where we can actually ask our body, we should at least be able to pick up on the clues. So I would encourage people to do that, to listen to their body, because it can only serve you if you let it rest and you give it the right food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not like a workhorse and you just keep beating it until it falls to the ground, right? And that'll happen if you don't take care of it.
Absolutely. We live so disassociated from our bodies, and we do exactly what you talked about. You set such a great example. Oh, one more thing. And then we're like, my body's letting me down. I'm sick again. I'm like, your body's not letting you down. Your body's been screaming at you for days or weeks.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked to learn that. I do things where I channel beings from other dimensions and so forth. So like, that's okay. And I can channel money, which is kind of an innate object.
Yeah.
And explain what money thinks and how it works and stuff. But I never thought to talk to my own body.
Yeah.
Like that was really, whoa, that was interesting.
Yeah.
But it's helpful. And I'm working on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's such an important lesson to learn when I stopped living disassociated from my body and started actually feeling all that it was trying to tell me. It was like, oh, wow. My therapist is like, it's been doing that all along. You've just lived so disconnected from it. You weren't feeling it. Now you're open to it and you're feeling it. And she's letting you know, hey, I need you to pay attention to me. I'm past my service date here. So I think,
well, it's kind of like, most of us have felt if we're hungry, we have felt our stomach growl.
Yes.
Like, that's pretty basic, but it's like that. But if it's happening all the time, maybe you just have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You've talked throughout this conversation about, you had lived out of other people's narratives and expectations, and you have moved clearly into this place now where you are living out of your own expectations versus others. Is there any else, you've talked about this a lot, is there anything else you want to add to that of what it's like to go from doing the first, which so many of us do? We grow up with these narratives and these societal expectations, and we're told what's supposed to make us happy, and if you follow this, and we never stop to ask if it's what we actually want. And we're just told, oh, this will make me happy if I go do this and do that and follow this script. Well, the script isn't built we're each unique people. There's no one script. So talk to me about what it's been like for you to live off your own script finally.
Well, I think one thing everybody needs to know is we can literally do anything we want. We can have, be, or do anything we want. That it's just the human constraints that society puts on us that we think we can't. Yeah. I'll give an example. So when I was 65, well, first of all, about age 62, I started going to the gym because I was overweight. And I got in shape, and then I got recruited to be in a master's level running team, which master's doesn't mean you're like super good. It just means you're over 50. Okay. So I was in my 60s, and is the team mostly with men, but there was one girl who's the one that talked me into it. So we started running, and it became a thing, and we really practiced a lot. And I said, well, I don't want to go to any meets. And they eventually talked me into meets. Then they said, well, you qualified for nationals, so you should go to nationals. So long story short, after many, many miles of running, at age 65, I went to the National Senior Games, and I placed in the top 10 in 2 track events. Wow. Which for someone who went to PE in, I think it was 7th grade, they put me in special PE because I couldn't touch my toes. So it was like a great, I don't know. It was showing them that I could do it. So yeah. I think I had harbored, because I had forgotten about that. I think I harbored that inside of me. Mm-hmm. And of course, I don't run anymore because it's all consuming, and I have other things I want to get done. But it showed me, and I think it showed people that I knew, that you really can do anything if you put your mind to it. Now, of course, you got to put the effort into it, and the time and practice and all that, it was horrible. Yeah. It was like, I don't want to ever do it again, put it that way. But I was proud of myself that I did it. So I proved it to myself that I could. Yeah. And I think that you need to be strong enough and willing to do the work for what you want. And then, and that you can achieve anything. The other thing is you need to be, and I don't know if you'll have to beep this out, but you have to learn to be unfuckwithable. And yeah. I had to practice saying that word because
I love that.
I had to practice saying it over and over, because you have to learn that you're not concerned about what other people think. Yeah. When I was decided to quit my job in real estate to publish books, I was met with, well, you can't do that. That's your job. And it's like, yes, I can. And then you just go do it. Or if you, any big thing you go that you want to step out, like publish a book, you can't do that. Well, yes, I can. Yeah. And you have to, channel beings from another dimension. Well, as a matter of fact, I have. And you just have to go with it and go, I'm not going to worry about what people say about me. And learn to do your own thing. I mean, I remember in my early 60s, I think it was right after I was in the national games, senior games, my reward to myself was to go to Croatia for 3 weeks by myself. And I had started traveling once I was single. I started traveling by myself, but more locally or even in the States. But I'd never gone overseas by myself. I'd gone overseas before, but with family or in a group or something. Yeah. So I said, I'm going to go to Croatia for 3 weeks by myself, and I'm going to go to these classes, and I'm going to rent a place and live on the economy and stuff. And people were like, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's too scary. And it's like, I used to live in Turkey, like how, and I've been to the former Yugoslavia at least 3 times. And it's not like a third world country or something.
Right.
I'll figure it out. And, but that's the kind of thing you have to just go, no, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And you won't always get where you want the first time. And so the naysayers are going to put you down, and that's going to be fodder for them to prove their way. But just don't listen, just keep doing it. Yeah. Because what I found is the people that complain the most about what you're doing when you step out of what's normal, they are the ones that are sitting back on the sidelines judging, and they're never doing anything. They're not growing. They're not improving. They're just saying, oh, well, look at them, and they shouldn't be doing that. That's dangerous. And it's like, but when I leave this earth, I want to be like all used up.
Yeah.
Like I've done everything I could to live my life to the fullest. I mean, I don't want to be like looking all perfect and pristine and everything, but I never left town. I never went to a concert. I never traveled. I never, what's the point of taking up space if that's how you're going to live?
Exactly.
Anyway, so I would encourage people to not be afraid. Go out and live their best life. Part of it will be introspective, figuring out what it is and how you want to live. Yeah. Because you get to write the script. You might not get to write the beginning of the story, but you can write the end.
Yeah. Oh, so good, Janie. Thank you so much for all of that. That was fantastic. Talk to me about embracing your layers, all the pieces and parts of your story that make up who you are. When I work with women, and you've heard me talk about this, I talk a lot about the ability to in order to really connect with who you are, in order to really embrace your value, that you are valuable because you are worthy, because you have value simply because you exist, because you were born, not based off of what you do or your titles. And you get to choose. And I think we miss out on that. You get to choose piece, which you talked about so beautifully. But talk to me about what your embracing layers journey has been like. And with that impact, you live out feel so succinctly that finding empowerment, embracing layers piece. Also, the impact it's had on your relationship with yourself as well as your relationship with other people.
Well, I think it all starts with you, and you need to learn to love yourself the way you are. Like, there's certain things about me that people would criticize, and I learned to either accept them or look at them like gifts. People would say to me, "Oh, you're so gullible. You're too trusting," and then I think, yeah, I am, but I try not to prejudge anybody, and then I can always change my mind later. But I finally, one day I looked at that and I said, well, if I wasn't so naive and trusting, do you think I would have been able to channel these messages? No, it's only because I'm like, well, what is it? Tell me what it is you want to say. And then I'll write it down and see if it makes any sense. But so it ended up being a good thing. And so I think that when we learn to love ourselves, no matter how we are, it helps to shape us and our journey. So I think that's really important. And I've learned that there are many layers, and there's more to a person than just their job or their title, whether it's mom or wife or worker. There's more to people. And so when I realize that about myself, then I can give that same grace to someone else. So I don't know if I've observed this. So some people will call some sort of repairman or something, and they'll call and they'll be mad when they don't answer the phone, and they'll be mad when they don't call them back the next day and say they're trying to get something fixed. Well, they'll be all irate. Well, they didn't call back. They should be more professional. Well, did you think that maybe something happened? Like maybe they're self-employed. They don't have a secretary, or their secretary's out sick, or maybe they're on a big job and they came home late and they couldn't return the call. They give the people you're trying to contact some grace that maybe they have other things going on in their life. Yeah. And so if I contact somebody and they don't contact me right away, I wait a little bit of time. I don't expect them to call me back in 5 minutes. And And when somebody sends an email, I don't expect it to happen in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like realize that other people have different layers to them. Like they've got their family. Maybe they're taking care of parents. Maybe their kids sick, and they have money worries, and there's different layers. So I think the first thing is you need to realize that you're multidimensional. There's more to you than just the Janie J that you meet at a networking event.
Yeah.
And it's the same for other people. So you see it in yourself and then you start seeing it in others. But we do have a lot of layers, and sometimes it's a balance. Some people use that term work-life balance. I don't particularly like that. I think it's more like work-life harmony. But it's more of not just work and life. There's the other stuff, all the other layers, and it's the harmony of all that. You know, you're a spiritual being, you're a physical being, and the different roles that you play and your contributions. So it's all needs to be in harmony, and realizing that really helps.
I love that harmony utilization. I think that's such a more all-encompassing word than balance. It makes space for all of it. That's so good. And I agree with you so much. When you are able to connect with yourself, know your own value, show yourself compassion, show yourself empathy, it opens you up to be able to show that for others as well.
Right.
We are, but I really believe you've got to do the work on you first, because you were talking about earlier, it tends to be in life, people that are critical or judgmental are people that are comfortable in their life, but they're not curious about what's possible. Right. And they've decided to settle for the comfort minus the curiosity, and which doesn't allow for more expansion, more growth, more openness. And so when you're able to extend that to yourself, it opens it up to others. And there's a lot of freedom in that. And then you're showing yourself, when you're open to that, you're open to so many more possibilities. You're also inviting other people into that. So you create more harmonious relationships because of that connection too.
Well, that curiosity is really essential.
Yeah.
It's essential to a person's growth. And I used to ask a lot of questions when I was little. In fact, in one of my books, I put in there, my aunt used to babysit me, and so I kept, every time I'd ask her all these questions, she'd just say, because, and then I'd ask another question, and she'd say, because, and finally one day I went and asked my mom, what's a because? And I understand I was probably getting on my aunt's nerves, but I think the curiosity is important, because if you, for instance, take travel, if you aren't curious about why other people look at world differently, maybe you need to go there and visit. Maybe you need to go experience their culture, their food, their religions, or learn about it. And that opens up a whole bunch. But most people are just content to stay in their comfort zone and do the same thing over and over. And well, it's good enough. It's good enough. We'll just stay like this. It's safe. And I get that. And I've actually asked the universe, I've asked about people like that. Like, what can I do for like a certain person to help them get out of that and see that there's more? And I got a very interesting answer. So the answer is that some people are here to show the difference, the yin and the yang, the difference between staying in your comfort zone and not expanding, not growing, just existing, versus somebody that grows. And we do need to see that the two different ways, so that people that haven't decided which way they're going to go have an example to follow. And I never thought of that. And they also said that who's to say they're not happy? That you're happy isn't going to necessarily make them happy.
Sure.
I never thought of that. I was just like, well, how could anybody be happy in that situation? Like, that really sucks. But it's not for us to judge. So it's not my job.
Yeah. Really good point there. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's a really good, a different way of looking at it that I think it's important to remember. And again, remembering we are responsible for ourselves. We are not responsible for others. We can share what we know and be excited about it and hope to invite and try to invite other people along. And also it's their decision to decide whether to do that or not. And it's not our jobs to keep banging our head against the wall to try to get them to do something that they're not feeling in alignment with, they're comfortable, whatever the reason is. And so being able to release that too, I think if there's a lot of freedom in that, like I'm going to share, I'm going to be open, I'm going to invite people in, and I'm also not going to try to force anything on people that aren't wanting to go down this road with me. I think there's
the other thing is sometimes people might get ready later.
Yeah.
And they just have to be exposed to a new way of thinking over and over and over. And you might not be the one that they make that decision to change, but you might have been one of the pebbles. And then finally they said, oh, well, maybe there is another way.
Yeah.
And if they don't get it, then that's their choice.
Yeah.
So, and just be okay with it.
Yeah. Oh, so good. All right. As we wind down here, share with me 5 activities that nourish you.
First of all, the quiet time by alone. I like to be outside. I like to go play with my animals, and I like to spend time with my boyfriend or my family, or maybe even good friends. It calms me down and keeps me centered. And then I'd say the last thing is travel, because that just does something. And even though when I go traveling, I usually come home exhausted and have, way too much work to do. But it's really great to see different parts of the world and be exposed to how other cultures live. It gives you a much greater understanding of the world we're in and interacting with others, and that there's no such thing as the right way to do life.
Yeah.
Because people that people that live in third world countries that we think don't have much, and what would they have to be happy about? I've observed that some of those people are the happiest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's pretty important to have that awareness of it's not just my way or the highway. It's like there's many ways. So
yeah, many ways to exist in the world, many different things we're called to. The simplicity of being able to connect with you and know what you need, and it doesn't always. And I think being aware of that. Travel is such a great educator. I think it just makes us. It makes us more open and curious, and teaches us so much about the different ways to exist and connect with each other and with the world. I think it's one of the most important things. If you have the ability to do it, I think it's just one of the great learning opportunities that we have.
Well, if it's a goal for someone, they can find a way, because I traveled a lot, even when I was broke.
Yeah.
And we did things like use air miles, use people's timeshares, get special deals. There's all sorts of ways you can do it and then you can always do the manifesting thing. Like when I went to Croatia, I thought I knew how much it was going to cost. And then when I got accepted to the school, the classes, they told me what the registration was and all that. And it was like, oh, it was going to cost more than what I thought. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have the money. And then people were like, well, you aren't going to go, are you? And I go, yeah, I'm going to go. I just need to wait until I figure out the money part. Mm-hmm. And then I got a Costco rebate check, and it was the exact amount.
Wow.
And so it's like the universe will send it to you if you really want it. So there are ways to travel. Yeah. And so people shouldn't let that stop them.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, if you want to travel, like even just a trip somewhere in your own state, mm-hmm. You can do something like pack your lunch every day, and instead of spending money eating out, and then you could save that money, and before you know it, you have $100 a month, and then you have $1,200 a year, and then then you can go somewhere. Yeah. So there are ways. It's just whether or not it's important enough to you, and I think it's worth it.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That was such good insight on that. All right. 5 words on how you want to feel the next 6 months.
I want to feel healthy and rested and calm and happy. And I don't know what the word would be, like fulfilled in myself. Yeah.
I love that. All right, Janie, share with people where they can find you, follow you. This will also be on our website at embracinglayers.com on the resources page, but share with our listeners real quick.
Okay. I have a website for the Janie J books. It's janiej.net. So there's videos and blogs, and you can sign up for a newsletter and that kind of thing. And then I have a website for the spiritual stuff, and it's www.thenewimmovement.com. And it's the same thing. There's videos and blogs, and you can sign up. You can even learn you can sign up and find out how I learned to connect to all that is, beings, or what God, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I also have a couple of YouTube channels. Janie J has a YouTube channel, and then I have a Janie J Soul Connector, which has some interesting videos about soul connections I've done to famous people that have passed on, and a lot of lessons that are in the the new I Am document. So those are great resources. I also am on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook.
Okay. All right. We'll have all that on our website, on our resources page. Any last thought that you would like to leave with our listeners today?
I would encourage everyone to understand that it's never too late to live your best life. And it doesn't matter if you don't figure it out until you're in your 60s. It's never too late.
Yeah. Oh, so good. All right, listeners, that's how we're going to wrap this up. It's never too late to live your best life. Stay curious. Thanks so much for being with us today. Thanks so much, Janie, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I've had a great time. Thanks, Melissa.
Great. You bet. All right. Take care, listeners, and we'll see you next time here on the Feel Podcast. Hello, and thank you so much for being with us today on this episode of the Feel Podcast. If you would like more information on how you can apply these talking points that I share with our guests in each episode to your own life, really utilize this Feel framework, go to embracinglayers.com, fill out our contact form, and let's set up a free 30-minute consultation to talk about how you can start living your most authentic, organic, healthy, feel-fueled life. Thanks again for being with us today. We'll be back to you soon with another episode here on the Feel Podcast.